Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast.
Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Chuck Solanas, and I'm joined by our guest, who's very special, Dr. Jacob Kashiwagi.
Hi, Chuck.
Hello. Thanks for coming on once again. I got another topic for you.
I'm excited, like always.
Very cool. So I wanted to talk about something that is kind of part of my past. When I was growing up, I had a massive stuttering problem, which made it difficult to get out a sentence without people moving on to the next person. So you're in a group conversation and everyone's kind of contributing a little bit of what they're thinking, their opinions, and then topic of conversation would come to me. They'd ask me a question. I would have a hard time responding, and then they'd move on. And so I'd be kind of embarrassed and I would be made fun of. And so I actually was in a class for children with disabilities for a time. And so I eventually overcame it with my parents' help and some specialists, but I continued to be made fun of as I grew up because of other reasons. I looked dorky. I didn't know how to socialize with others, even though I could speak.
I can see how that could be.
Right.
I'm just kidding, Chuck. Okay.
Anyways, I eventually changed, and this teasing subsided, but that change was kind of hard. And my kids are growing up, and I'm worried that they might be teased for different things. And I'm worried that it's going to happen with my kids. So how do I help my children understand why kids would be making fun of her before it would become a bigger problem?
Well, first off, it is impossible for anybody to go through life without being made fun of. So everyone will be made fun of to a very large degree at some point in their life, to a point where it is something that is a tough thing to deal with. But that being said, there are some children who can deal with it better, and there's some children who deal with it worse, just like adults. You'll notice that sometimes when some adults are teased, they get really defensive, they get upset, they get stressed out. And you notice when other adults get teased, it doesn't really affect them very much. They might even laugh at it. They realize, yeah, you're right. I don't do this, or I don't do that. But it doesn't affect them, in terms of their stability and their mental health and their happiness. So the real question is, what's the difference between a person who can be laughed at or teased about something and it not affect them, and someone who is laughed at and teased and it does? And the answer to that, when we really look at the difference between the two, it's pretty simple. Someone who has two parents or a family at home and siblings, multiple siblings or, less siblings, but how many people who have a family at home of some type, that family never teases them, always loves them, they feel very secure and stable with that family? Which kid is going to deal with teasing better? The one who is in a stable family and they know that their parents love them or their family loves them, whoever they're with loves them, and they're very secure with them, that even if those people tease them, they know that they love them and they don't take offense to it. Or the child who at home, they don't know if their parents love them or if whoever they're with loves them, and they don't feel stable and secure with those people. Who's more likely to take teasing better? So if you're looking with your own kids to make sure that when they go into the world, if something actually does happen where they get teased for something they're doing, if you want to help them out with it, the first thing you can do is love them. Make sure they know that you have an unconditional love for them, that you don't have, you don't try and make them uncomfortable with something they're doing or the way that they love something or the way that they do something. Make sure that, you don't criticize them for things that makes them feel like they're less of a person, right? If you're able to have that environment at home and show them your love and make sure there's no time where they feel like, oh, my dad doesn't like me because I do this or that, or they're afraid that if that you're going to think less of them because they see how you act, right? And you're like, my dad is like this, right? If I do this, he's going to like really like hate me or be ashamed of me. But if you have a very loving environment where they understand you and they understand what you're thinking of them and they're very secure, yeah, you're going to help them out a lot, I would think. But we can go on. We can ask other things like, who's more likely to really take like teasing hard? Someone who feels like they have no strengths, or someone who feels like they're really good at a lot of things? So another thing you can do is find things that your children can do really well and help them to get into situations where they realize they're really good at it. Because if a child doesn't think they're good at anything, if someone teases them about something, then they're more likely to take offense and feel really bad about themselves. But if they know that they're really good at some things, and if someone, makes fun of them for something else, they're not going to feel as bad because at least they know they got some talent, they got something they're really good at. So that's another thing. Students or children who they know what they're really good at and they know they are good at some things, they're able to take laughing and teasing a lot better. The other thing is which child is more likely to take teasing really hard. A child who is educated that no one is perfect in life and everyone has mistakes and issues, or a child who doesn't know that and thinks that there are people out there that have no issues in their life, nothing they do that's embarrassing, everything about them's perfect.
Of course, the person that knows that other people aren't perfect.
Yes, so exposing your child to different situations and people where they can kind of see this person is really good, but they actually have some flaws too. And to be a good example to your child, you can even show how when people make fun of you, just off the cuff or whatnot, or criticize you for something you did wrong, you can set a good example by not taking offense to it, by even laughing at yourself and saying, oh yeah, you're right, I don't say this correctly, or I do this wrong, or this is kind of an embarrassing thing I do, and laugh at it. And the more they see people doing that around them, they can then laugh at people laughing at them as well, because they say, oh yeah, that is funny. One of the things as I've gone through life is I've talked to a lot of really successful people, and that's how I started realizing it's okay for me to do really embarrassing things. For example, I've been with people who, they're, millionaires, billionaires, and you'll like be walking with them and they'll fart or something. And that's really embarrassing, but hey, they don't think anything of it. In fact, sometimes they laugh at it. My dad laughs at it all the time. He's getting 70 years old. And he just farts anywhere he wants now, and it's not embarrassing for him. And he laughs at it, and some other people might make fun of it, but he doesn't care. The more you learn about how successful people are, and the more you see other people around you do things that are just dumb or funny or whatnot, the more you start realizing it doesn't really matter. So when people tease you, hey, you're like, who cares? And so the more you can be like that and be real with, I believe, children, where they can see that, they can see you make mistakes, you don't take offense to it, the more your children will be, they'll be just fine when people start teasing them. Hey, Chuck, another suggestion for you is to help your kids not be teased. Don't be like sending them to school in like these weird outfits and stuff, you know. Don't be like training your kids to do like weird type of things that aren't socially acceptable by people, okay? That could really help your kids out.
Yeah, I don't know that I know all the different things that make them to be socially unacceptable, but I will be aware.
Okay, so what's really funny is I'm not even worried about it. So I actually have trained my 3-year-old son on a lot of things that are wrong in life, and maybe even like other people are going to find really funny. So we'll see how he goes growing up. I taught him all these incorrect animal noises. So when he goes to school and people ask him, what sound a giraffe makes? Yeah, he's definitely going to say the wrong sound.
What sound does he make for the giraffe?
I taught him it makes the sound, a nee 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 nee.
Jacob, you're ruining this kid's life. He doesn't even know.
It's really funny, actually.
So you're saying everyone gets ridiculed by others, everyone gets made fun of at one point. You just have to help them to become emotionally resilient by making sure that they're loved, that they know other people aren't perfect, and that they have a lot of strengths. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. And this even works within the family. You might notice that you make fun of one kid, that kid gets all out of sorts. You make fun of another kid in your family or another child in your family, and it doesn't really matter to them. Now, a lot of that could be because one child feels really insecure about themselves, and one child feels like they're really good at stuff, and you know, they're really stable that way. So if you see that within your own family per se, you know, give them love, expose them to people with imperfections in how, everybody has these things. And the third is, yes, spending time to help your child figure out what their strengths are, what they're really good at, and praising them for it. That's always a good thing.
Okay. Is there any benefit to being teased or made fun of?
Yes, it makes you have to figure out, do I see value in myself?
Okay.
I tease other people all the time in my family, but I never try to tease them in a way that demeans them, right? If they do something funny, I point it out. But at the same time, if I do something funny, I try and point it out about myself.
Well, that way you beat everyone else to the punch, right?
It's true. But if I do, the thing is, if I feel a child is taking it personally, or if I know that they will take something I will say personally, I try not to say it. Because you don't want a child to feel someone's, really criticizing them. You want a child to just learn that it's part of life to make fun of people when they do funny things. It's part of life to point out when someone does something really dumb. You just want to make sure the child knows that everybody does something really dumb one time or another.
Totally. All those suggestions are really good, and I should take that into account in the future. So, hey, thank you listeners for listening and viewers for watching. Have a good rest of your day.